If I had to start from zero today, no followers, no subscribers, no money, no team, just me and a phone, I wouldn't be discouraged. I wouldn't feel lost. I wouldn't sit around waiting for someone to save me or for the stars to align. In fact, I'd be pumped. Because when you've already built something once, and you understand what actually makes it work, starting over isn't a threat, it's an opportunity. It's like being given a clean slate, except this time you already have the cheat codes. The reason most people stay stuck at zero isn't because they don't have talent. It's not because the algorithm is against them or because they lack resources. It's because they don't know how to think. They don't approach content creation like a discipline. They treat it like a lottery ticket. Like maybe if they upload something and cross their fingers, they'll magically go viral. That's not how it works. That's never how it worked. Virality isn't luck, it's math, psychology, and experimentation. If you understand that, you're dangerous because you can create success from scratch. So the very first thing I'd do even before I filmed anything is study. I mean obsessively. This isn't about watching videos for fun. This is about watching with a purpose. I'd pick apart every video that popped off in the last month. I'd go deep, not just looking at what the video was about, but how it was built. What was the title structure? Did it ask a question or make a bold promise? What was the thumbnail design? Was it simple and emotional, or cluttered and confusing? How long was the intro before they got to the point? Did they start with a bang or waste the first 15 seconds rambling? I'd take notes like a mad scientist. And not just on big creators, I'd study the ones who came out of nowhere. The ones with 1 million views and only 10K subscribers. That's where the gold is. That's where the innovation is. Because if someone with no platform can make something explode, then what they made had to be undeniably good. And that's what I want to learn, not just what's popular, but what's undeniable. After I studied for hours every day, not for a week, but for weeks and months, I'd start creating. But I wouldn't wait to be ready. Most people try to make a masterpiece on their first try and end up making nothing. That's not the goal. The goal is volume, experiments, reps. I'd set a target, maybe 1 video a day for 30 days. Not because I expect each one to go viral, but because I need data. Every upload is a test. Every thumbnail is a hypothesis. Every comment is feedback. You can't get better at the game if you're not playing, and trust me, the first 10-20 videos probably won't be that great. That's okay. That's the price of entry. Nobody wakes up a master, but if you show up every day with the intention to improve even by 1%, you compound faster than almost everyone else, and eventually something hits. One video breaks through. It might be small, a few thousand views instead of a few hundred, but that's all you need. That's the crack in the wall. That's the signal that the market is listening. Once that happens, you double down. But before we even get to that point, let's talk about how I'd actually make the videos. I wouldn't waste time worrying about gear. I wouldn't stress about getting a fancy camera or studio lighting or a pro editor. That's all noise when you're starting. I'd film on my phone. I'd use free editing software. I'd sit in front of a window for lighting. Why? Because content wins on ideas, not on gear. You can have the best camera in the world, but if your idea is boring, nobody cares. But if your idea is insane, if your delivery is energetic, and if your storytelling is tight, people will watch, even if it's filmed on a toaster. And here's something else I'd do that most people ignore. I'd write. Not long scripts, not essays, but outlines, bullet points, beats. I'd make sure that every video had structure. What's the hook? What's the payoff? What's the twist? What's the challenge? Why should someone care in the first 10 seconds? Attention is currency. If you lose it, you're done. So I'd make sure my videos open like a punch to the face. No slow intros, no rambling, no hey guys, what's up? I'd get straight to the action. I'd make you care fast. Now let's talk about the content itself. What would I make videos about? Honestly, anything that could get attention and be scaled. Maybe I'd start with challenge videos, maybe crazy experiments, maybe storytelling. Doesn't matter, I'd test it all, but I'd always ask two questions. Would I click this? And would 10 million other people click this? If the answer isn't a hard yes, I'd scrap it. Because the biggest mistake creators make is thinking too small. They make videos for their friends, not for the world. So I'd build for scale. Every video would be designed to be shared, to be talked about, to spark curiosity or emotion. I wouldn't make niche tutorials. I wouldn't make diary vlogs, not at first. I'd make high-concept, high-retention ideas that can go global, because that's how you get the attention you need to eventually earn the right to do personal, creative stuff. And when people say, yeah, but the algorithm is random, I'd laugh. The algorithm is not random. It's predictable. It rewards what people watch and share. It amplifies what people love. So if your video isn't getting views, that doesn't mean you're unlucky. It means the audience didn't care. And that's your job, to make them care. So I'd keep making videos, keep testing thumbnails, keep tweaking intros, keep improving pacing. I'd watch my retention graphs like stock charts. Where did people drop off? Why, I'd fix it on the next one. I wouldn't chase perfection. I'd chase momentum. Because when you're at zero, your only goal is to get the ball rolling. Don't aim to be the best, aim to be consistent. Consistency is what unlocks quality. You don't get great by planning. You get great by doing, by uploading, by studying the response, by iterating. That's how you build skills, a style, and an audience all at the same time. And you know what else? I'd stop worrying about judgment. People are going to talk anyway. They're going to laugh when you start. They're going to say, "Who do you think you are?" But when you blow up, they'll act like they knew you were special all along. So I wouldn't give their opinions any power. The only voice I'd listen to is the one that says, "Keep going." Because that voice, that's the one that leads to results. I'd keep my circle small, no distractions. No noise. I'd block out every voice that doesn't help me move forward, not because I'm arrogant, but because clarity is rare and distraction is expensive. When you're building something from zero, every ounce of energy matters. So I'd guard mine like treasure. I'd say no to everything that doesn't serve the mission, and I'd treat every day like a brick. One video, one lesson, one improvement stacked daily. Most people underestimate what they can build in a year if they just do a little every day. But I'd play the long game. I wouldn't try to blow up overnight. I'd try to get 1% better every single upload, because I know that if I do that, I won't just grow, I'll become undeniable. And once you're undeniable, no algorithm can stop you. Let's say I've been uploading for a few weeks, maybe even a couple of months. I've studied the space, tested different formats, analyzed performance, and improved with every upload. Now, finally something hits. It's not viral in the global sense, but it's definitely not nothing. Maybe one of my videos pulls 0 views. Maybe it gains me 0 new subscribers in a week. Maybe the comments are blowing up with people asking for more. That's it. That's the moment. That is the spark. Most people see that spark and feel good about themselves. They celebrate, they slow down, they play it safe, but not me. When I see traction, I don't pause, I go absolutely all in. This is where the real work begins. That one video that took off, I'd dissect it like a surgeon. I'd reverse engineer every frame. Why did it work? What was the hook? What did the title promise? How did the pacing flow? Did it tap into curiosity, outrage, humor, generosity? What made it unskippable? Was it the idea or the execution or both? I'd rate every comment, positive and negative. The people watching that video just told me what they want now. It's my job to listen, adapt, and deliver again. From here, I'd build a mini-series around the hit. If it was a challenge video, I'd plan 10 more challenges. If it was a social experiment, I'd brainstorm crazier ones. I wouldn't reinvent the wheel, I'd pour nitro on the format that's already working. A lot of creators get bored of their own ideas before the audience ever does. That's a mistake. When the market gives you momentum, ride that wave until it crashes, and when it does, you've already got another one lined up. But here's what most people miss. Scaling doesn't just mean making more videos, it means making better ones faster. That means reinvesting. Every penny I earn, I'd push right back into the content. I'm not buying cars, watches, or fancy cameras. I'm buying props. I'm hiring editors. I'm paying people to help me build the biggest, most ridiculous, most impossible looking versions of the content that's working. Because if you can take a winning idea and make it 10x bigger, 10x crazier, 10x more emotional, you're going to dominate. Let's say I made a video where I spent 24 hours in a haunted house. That's cool. But how do I top it? How do I turn that concept into something unforgettable? Maybe I bring in 10 people and offer $10, 0, 0, 0 to the last one who stays. Maybe I shoot it in an actual abandoned prison. Maybe I add crazy plot twists and challenges every hour. The idea isn't to repeat the same thing, it's to evolve it. To grow it into something nobody else is willing to do, and I do that with speed. Speed matters more than people realize. While other creators are sitting around thinking, should I post this next week or next month? I'm already 5 videos deep into the next wave. You don't win by waiting. You win by learning faster than anyone else. Every new upload is a lesson. Every experiment gives you a data point. So I'm not sitting back and admiring my one viral hit. I'm using it as fuel to make the next 10. Momentum is oxygen when you're small. The platform starts paying attention. Viewers start returning. Your audience is no longer strangers, they're fans, and fans want more. They want consistency. They want to know that you're serious, that you're not a one-hit wonder. So I'd keep dropping videos on a regular schedule, not randomly, not sporadically. I'd train my audience to expect greatness, and then I'd deliver. And as I grow, I'd build systems. You can't do everything alone forever. Most creators burn out because they try to do it all: filming, scripting, editing, uploading, engaging. Eventually, that hits a wall, so I'd start simple. Maybe I hire an editor to cut videos while I focus on ideas. Maybe I bring in a thumbnail designer so I can test variations at scale. Maybe I add a researcher who helps me find the craziest stories, places, or challenges that I can turn into content. This isn't about being lazy. It's about being efficient. The more time I can spend in my zone of genius crafting ideas, building relationships, evolving the strategy, the faster I can grow. Delegation isn't giving up control. It's multiplying your output. And trust me, if I can produce 3x more videos at 2x the quality in the same amount of time, I'm going to lap everyone still stuck doing everything themselves. With the team in place, I'd start building infrastructure. A content pipeline, maybe a content calendar with clear deadlines, maybe a shared Notion board where we track video stages, scripting, filming, editing, thumbnails, testing. I'd systematize everything, so instead of guessing what to do next, the machine just runs. The best creators in the world don't wake up wondering what to film, they've got it all lined up. That's not just smart, that's necessary for scaling, and as the content improves, so does the audience. You start to see superfans, people who watch every upload, comment within seconds, share your videos without asking. These are the people you build around. I'd start engaging like crazy, hearting comments, replying, asking for feedback, turning fans into collaborators, maybe even bringing some of them on as testers or early viewers. People love to be part of something that's growing, and I'd make sure they feel that. The second effect of scale is pressure. When you grow fast, people start watching. Not just viewers, competitors, brands, haters. Everyone suddenly has an opinion. You can't let that throw you. I'd stay locked in on what got me here. Ideas, execution, discipline. I wouldn't switch up my voice or style to please everyone. You never win by trying to be liked. You win by being great. Let the results speak for you. Speaking of results at this point, opportunities start flowing. Sponsors, collaborations, maybe even traditional media, but I'd be selective. I wouldn't grab every deal that pays. I'd only say yes to partnerships that level up the content. If a brand can help me do something I couldn't afford on my own, like rent a stadium or give away life, changing money, then I'm in. If it's just a logo on the screen for a few bucks, pass. Everything must serve the audience or serve the mission. Nothing else matters. Here's another lever I'd pull: reinvention. Just because something worked once doesn't mean it'll work forever. Trends change, viewer habits shift. If I notice my metrics sliding, I don't complain, I evolve. I'd survey the landscape again, spot new formats and adapt. Maybe I try longer form storytelling. Maybe I go deeper with a series. Maybe I pivot into something even bigger than content, like a physical product or a real-world experience. The only rule is never stagnate, but even as I scale, I'd stay obsessed with details. Every second of the video still matters. Every title, every thumbnail, every camera angle is still a factor. Growth doesn't give you permission to get lazy, it demands that you get sharper. When you have 10,000 fans, mistakes are cheap. When you have 10 million, every slip is amplified. So I double my focus, not cut corners. That's how you go from good to legendary. Let's talk about vision. By now, I'm not just thinking about the next upload. I'm thinking about the next year, the next 5 years. What's the legacy? What am I building that goes beyond just content? This is where I start laying the foundation for something bigger, maybe a brand that gives back. Maybe a foundation that funds creators in underdeveloped regions. Maybe a studio that empowers the next generation of content innovators. The point is, the bigger the platform gets, the more responsibility comes with it. And I'd embrace that, but none of this matters if I lose the audience's trust. So I'd protect that above all. No bait and switch, no fake giveaways, no fake pranks. I'd be real even when it's hard. I'd say I messed up when I mess up. Because long-term growth comes from credibility, not manipulation. If people trust me, they'll ride with me for years. If they don't, I'm just another flash in the pan. That's the heart of part 2. Once you find what works, you don't slow down, you go harder. You double down, you invest, you scale, you build systems, you build a team, you keep leveling up the product, the videos, the brand, the experience. And most importantly, you stay hungry, you stay obsessed. Because it's not just about getting views anymore, it's about building something that lasts. Absolutely. Here's a powerful conclusion that ties together part 1 and part 2 of your speech. What I would do if I had to start from zero today, in the style of MrBeast without naming him. This conclusion brings clarity, energy, and conviction, emphasizing the lessons from both the grind to get attention and the strategy to scale momentum. And that's exactly what separates dreamers from doers. If I had to start from zero today, I wouldn't sit around waiting for permission. I wouldn't hope someone discovers me. I'd get up, figure it out, and start moving. No gear, I'd use what I have. No money, I'd trade time for skill. No audience, I'd build one brick by brick. The grind at the beginning, all that silence, all those ignored uploads, all that work for nothing, that's not failure. That's foundation. That's the part people skip. That's the part that matters. Because when that one video finally lands, when the algorithm blinks in your direction, when a crowd starts to form, when someone actually cares about what you made, that's when the next version of you has to show up. The version that's not just creative, but strategic, not just hungry, but relentless. That's when you stop guessing and start executing. You multiply what's working. You reinvest everything. You build the machine that makes you unstoppable. I wouldn't aim to be lucky. I'd aim to be undeniable. Every step from uploading your first video with shaky audio to building a team to systemizing growth is part of one mission: impact at scale. And that starts with work nobody sees, followed by moves nobody's willing to make. That's how you rise. That's how you last. Start ugly. Get smart. Then scale with everything you've got. Because if I can go from nothing to something once, I can do it again. And so can you.